that I want to refer to at the moment, this one in particular, is quite a popular book for all journalists. The Associated Press Style Book and Briefing on Media Law. This is the one which is most commonly used at present. There's another one, the Chicago Manual of Style, and the New York Times Manual of Style and Usage. But the one which is used on both sides of the Atlantic is this one, which is known as the Economist Style Guide. The one I referred to first, the one written by, used by the Associated Press, has a number of questions. It's like what I should say, a quiz. So it will give you an idea of what that book contains. By the way, you can get all these books through Amazon.com. Of course, the problem is that when you try to get them to Karachi, the price, the shipping costs are 3 times the actual price of the book. So the quiz in the Associated Press Style Book is this one. Number 1, should Wikipedia be used as a primary source? What is your answer? Actually, you should never try to use Wikipedia as a primary source if you're writing something, or writing an academic paper, for example. But you must refer to it for getting some very useful links, and through those useful links you can enlarge your whatever your product. The links can really be useful. Another question, should trademarks be capitalized? If you get something like Pond's or Gillette or Band-Aid, should these be used in the uppercase or the lowercase? Always ensure that whenever brands or trademarks are used, they are capitalized. You'll also come across this question, does one Twitter or tweet? See, what do? You are all the time speaking about Twitter messages. So when it is used as a verb, you say you tweet and you don't Twitter. Then use of numerals. The Associated Press recommends that you should spell 1 through 9. That is, if you're writing 9, then write N-I-N-E. But if you're using figures from 10 and above, you must use numbers only, numerals. So 10 is 10, 11 is 11, and so on. Then another very useful recommendation which writers now always don't use them properly, is the use of capital A and capital D, AD, before year. For example, if you're speaking about the Hijri or the first year of the Hijri calendar, which is 622, so you write AD 622, or do you write 622 AD? So whenever you're using AD must come first. It is A full stop, D full stop, all uppercase, 622. On the other hand, when you're using BC comes after. So when you write something about something which took place on 13 BC, then you will write 13 BC, not BC 13. Nowadays, instead of BC meaning before Christ, the fashion has become to use BCE, which means actually before Christian era. So this, if you're using BCE also, use it after, say 1415 BCE, all in uppercase, of course. The next is about the use of a dictionary. This is very important. That and I recommend that if you can get them in Pakistan, which is, of course, you might be able to get them in a second-hand bookshop. But if you do get them, it's in 2 volumes, and the new Lexicon Webster's Dictionary Encyclopedic Edition. The good thing about this is that when you, it's in 2 volumes, by the way, that when you're looking through the pages and you want some, let us say you come to A and you want to find out about the pronunciation of why the Americans, some Americans use anti, you say anti-aircraft, but we use here mostly anti-aircraft. So you're looking for A, and then you can also just keep on turning the pages and you come to Aurangzeb, Aurangabad. So this is really a helpful book, and I would recommend, especially for American English, try to use this dictionary whenever, if possible. Then another dictionary which you must always use is, try to use, that is this one, Oxford Dictionary of English with Sound. Why is this important? Because our writers and speakers tend to use the wrong pronunciation. I want to draw your attention to this book, The Godfather Doctrine, for many reasons. It's only 50 pages, and so once you read it, it will change your outlook and the way you look at the world or the present politics of the world. Now, why have I've used this book is because of the word doctrine, which is pronounced completely wrong, especially in our media today. Everyone pronounces it major anchors as doctrine. Now, even university professors make the same mistake. I pointed this out to quite a number of them, and then I had to use this Oxford Dictionary and then refer to the speaker. Yeah, just listen. What is the pronunciation? Once again. So this is the correct spelling, and I hope you don't make the same mistake. And although even in the Urdu English dictionary, the pronunciation is given as doctrine, but they have tried to, people anglicize the word. Here all the words are being rather pronounced in Urdu, English words pronounced as doctrine. The major mistake. All right, so there are some words, you have got to be very careful about. These are especially the spelling, because the meaning of the words sound the same. They are 2 different words, but the meaning, the sound is the same, but the meanings are different. And here the computer or your laptop will not help you, because what happens, since both are used, are correct words available in the dictionary, the red line will not appear. The red line only appears when the spelling is wrong. So here, if the writer does not know the meaning and that is why we are having a lot of such errors in today's, whether a major newspaper like Dawn or Daily Express, you'll find them that the words have been used wrongly. The writer, perhaps the journalist, he saw no red light appearing. He assumed that this is the correct spelling because he did not know the meaning. So, for example, this word you'll find in today's newspapers always being spelled wrongly. This is when someone is speaking about a person's career. C-A-R-E-E-R. What he uses, when you read it, you find it's written carrier, C-A-R-R-I-E-R, meaning someone who carries, carrier, like the aircraft carrier. So we have to be very particular about this word. There's another word, cease, means to stop, which is with C, C-E-A-S-E, but they write S-E-I-Z-E or Z-E, cease, because here again this the sound is the same, and if someone has dictated, he doesn't, and since he doesn't know the meaning and he relies on the laptop to correct it, he'll get no help from the laptop because he does not know the meaning. They are cease with C means to stop, and seize with S means to capture, to catch someone. All right. One another big major mistake, even in HEC publications you'll find this. This is the word matric and metric. Matric, as we all know, the last year in school, M-A-T-R-I-C. But if your laptop is using American spelling, there'll be a red line under matric. Instead, it will recommend metric, M-E-T-R-I-C. And the writers tend to accept this, which is wrong completely, because that is another word, metrics, because nowadays we have the metrics, the statistics, or the metric system, the decimal system. So that is M-E-T-R-I-C. But something to do with your education is matric, M-A-T-R-I-C. Even on a HEC advertisement, they have written the word metric. No one bothered to check whether this is the problem, that someone does make there's a clerical error, but there's no supervisor to recheck it, to see whether this is correct or not. So one has to know the meaning of words and just not rely on the laptop. Similarly, there was an advertisement for a principal. Advertisement in Dawn, but the spelling of principal was given as P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E. Now this word, is different. This is not the principal. When we talk about the principal of a college, the head, the main teacher. So that is P-R-I-N-C-I-P-A-L. So do be careful about these two words. Then again, also you'll find mistakes everywhere about stationary and stationary. Stationary has an A, stationary, A-R-Y. Now this stationary means to be at one place and doesn't mean anything to do with books and all the items that you use in your school, which is stationary with an E. So say postal stationery. Now in this here, it will be E-R-Y, not A-R-Y. So be careful about this. And another very important, which I notice, especially in the newspapers and all that, is the word council, C-O-U-N-C-I-L, which is like an advisory body. You say the British Council, C-O-U-N-C-I-L. But what happened? He meant the British Council, but in the newspaper, the magazine, it was written British Consul. Now that is C-O-N-S-U-L. That is something to do with consulate. You see, that is the next to the ambassador. He the British Consul, C-O-N-U-S-U-L, not C-O-U-N-C-I-L. Now there is another word, C-O-U-N-S-E-L. So this one is an advice council. I'm waiting for your advice. So you have one with C-O-U-N-C-I-L, then another one with C-O-U-N-C-E-L, S-E-L, C-O-U-N-S-E-L, and the another one with C-O-N-S-U-L. So check your dictionary and try to find out the meanings of all the three words and be careful in their use. And of course, there is another one which whenever you receive cards, you will notice compliment, my compliments, and then instead of COMPLIMENT, it will be written COMPLEMENT. Now that's a different word, but the pronunciation is same. Compliment, compliment. So when you are writing in your cards and you are congratulating something, the one you're using, you should use with the word with I, COMPLIMENT. And the other one, COMPLE, means like the complement of a ship, the total number of people in that ship. So do be careful about the use of these words while writing or speaking about any subject. Do remember that readers are always in a hurry. Today's readers, of course, and they have a short attention span, and they're usually impatient and distracted. So they want stories that connect. Stories need to be accurate, or your reports must be accurate. They must be properly attributed. If you have got the information from somewhere, do let your reader know from where you got the information. Your reports must be balanced and fair. They must be objective. They must be brief and focused. They should not inject his or her own feelings or opinions. As nowadays, most of the speakers, especially in the media, they try to inject their own views. They want you to believe what they are saying, which might not be always true. Now, there was one very famous writer, and he was greatly admired by Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And this writer was an American writer who died in 1911. His name was Mark Twain. And recently, a book has appeared in 2011, exactly because he wanted that his autobiography should appear 100 years after his death. So this is Mark Twain. His latest book, Autobiography of Mark Twain. This is the book, The Autobiography of Mark Twain. This has appeared 100 years after his death, as he wanted to, because in his biography had he written at that time, because he mentioned certain people and personalities, and they may have been offended. He didn't want to offend them, so he wanted that this book should come 100 years after his death. The importance of Mark Twain is that he himself started his career as a newsman. He was a news reporter. Imagine news reporter in the 1870s, when the only way to communicate was through newspapers, and you didn't have what we have today. So he had to edit most of the things he wrote. He's also recognized as one of the 10 most important writers in American literature, and his book Huckleberry Finn is considered as 10 of the best books ever written in the USA. And I'm sure you must. The problem with Mark Twain was that he himself he preferred to do his own proofreading. Once when he found out that his famous book Huckleberry Finn was being proofread by someone whom we didn't know, he immediately telegraphed to the printer, have him shot, without giving him time to pray. Some of the points that he has recommended are about proofreading are, I'm just repeating them for you. Number one, look for one type of problem at a time. Look for one problem at a time. Don't look for so many things if you want to read when you are rereading your work. Double check facts, figures, and proper names. Double check fact, figures, and proper names. Review a hard copy. Don't do it in the, of course, in his day they did not have the computer, but the thing is that what you should do is review a hard copy. Read your text loud. You are more likely to find some mistakes if you read your text loud. Trust your dictionary. I've already spoken to you about this. Then lastly, read your text backward. If you read your text backward, you are likely to find the mistakes that may have crept in the spelling especially. About Mark Twain, as I told you, that he was very much admired by Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah because of his one of his book, which is known as More Tramps Abroad. It's about a particular community, and you will just laugh and laugh once you read this. So it's available on Google. Go and try to find this about his written edition. Innocents Abroad is about his trip to Paris, which again is also extremely humorous. It was only because of his humor, his ability to make you laugh, that he made tremendous amount of money throughout his life. The other writers who were equally famous, other American writers, were not so popular with the readers as he was. It was only because of his ability to make you laugh. And there was a tragedy in his life also, which I want to refer to, but I think that I'll do it some other time. Yes. What you should also do is go to Google and then find a list of 20 essential idioms, so that your English is modern, and one feels that it is rather not something which is translated. Rather, you are using idiomatic English. Here's one phrase, for example: stab someone in the back. Stab someone in the back. As I said, the phrase stab someone in the back. So this only when you try to speak ill of somebody, or you are trying to see that whatever he is doing, he fails in his project, then you are trying to stab him in the back. There's a very nice, joke about this sentence in the series Yes, Prime Minister. There is the bureaucrat, he's trying to stab the Prime Minister, and then his colleague tells him, but he was your friend, and you knew him so well, you were great friends. He says, you were close to him. He says, yes, you have to come close to someone before you can stab him behind the back. There's another very attractive phrase: twist someone's arm. That someone who's not doing this is practiced every day in Pakistan. So you know how the politicians and the leaders, they try to, or the one who has a lot of money tries to twist your arm, twist someone's arm, so that you do what he wants you to do. Then another very attractive phrase is to lose your touch. You lose your touch. So if you are good at something, and after some time let us say you are a very good music director 20 years before, and now your music does not appeal to the people, then you say you have lost your touch. Then another one, face the music. Face the music is when you do something wrong and then people turn against you, and then someone advises, now it's your turn to face the music. So this is another one, to use strong arm tactics. Strong arm tactics is the same thing, like trying to bully someone, so that he does what you want him to do. Now we come to British and American English. Now the book I had referred to in the beginning, Associated or Economist Style Guide, gives a list of all the British and American words. You know that the great dramatist Bernard Shaw, what he had said, England and America are two countries separated by the same language. So here, especially now this word, when you go to USA, you'll find that no one will, the word route, the route to USA, R-O-U-T-E. But if you pronounce it as route, no one will understand you, because they pronounce it as route. So the American words, another one, I remember in Saudi Arabia, when one American teacher was my colleague, when he came to Saudi Arabia for the first time, he said, Zahid, I went to Al-Khobar and everywhere I find that they write tire as T-Y-R-E. You know that the spelling of tire is T-I-R-E. And I had to tell him, my dear sir, T-I-R-E is British. I mean, is British, which means something else. It means that you are tired. So it has another meaning. But in British English, you distinguish wheels with T-Y-R-E. In America, of course, T-Y-R-E is spelled as T-I-R-E. Then similar, for example, chips. We keep on saying potato chips, which is British, but the Americans, they use French fries. And I remember I had a colleague, his name was Mr. French, and I told the student to go and find Mr. French. And he comes back and tells me, Mr. Fries is not in his room. So the word French, he associated with fries, French fries, because French fries is potato chips in America. Remember that the trunk, your car trunk, becomes the trunk, which is American. In British English, it would be car boot. The hood, which is American, becomes car bonnet in British English. Then you say the accelerator. Accelerator is actually British. In America, it's said gas pedal. Then everywhere when you go to USA, I notice the word muffler. Muffler they use for car silencer. We use the word car silencer, which is British, but in the Americans use muffler. Similarly, flight attendant. They use flight attendant, but we are used to use the British term air hostess. So air hostess is British, while of course the flight attendant is American. And then of course the truck becomes a lorry in British English. And again, we always come the check. You write check. In the British English, you write check with C-H-E-Q-U-E. Well, the Americans use the same check, which is for ticking, C-H-E-C-K. So do get a list of British and American English and familiarize yourself with those words. Then about reporting. Remember that while you're writing something for purposes of journalism, reporting is the most essential ingredient. The rest, they say, these are all sauce and stuffings, just window dressing. So while reporting, one thing is your report is bound to attract readers if it is about some unusual subject. Now, when in Pakistan, we never bother to write something about a place like Razmak, which is about 68 miles from Miran Shah in North Waziristan. And today, Razmak is supposed to be in South Waziristan, although it is 87 kilometers from the capital Wana of South Waziristan. The importance of Razmak is that this is the only place in Pakistan where it always rains every day in the afternoon. So naturally, when you write something about Razmak, where Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, for example, had the, well, what I should say, foresight to make a cadet college there. So it's a place. It was the British loved it and stayed always. It also snows during winter in Razmak. So they always went. So when you write something about Razmak, it's bound to attract readers, and also because from 1930 to 1946, before Pakistan, you had one personality, one character who was completely against the British, and the British were never able to capture him, and he was called the Scarlet Pimpernel of the East. His name was, he was of course the Fakir of, he was called the Fakir of Ipi. His actual name was Mazhar Ali Khan, and so till Pakistan came into being, the British were unable to catch him. They considered him a terrorist. So this is one way of writing attractive reports. Then what you write must be of human interest. You'll also find that writing about celebrities, and that is why you find all journalists writing about celebrities, they tend to be very popular. Now, here are some newsroom. Here is what is known as newsroom lingo, which you should be familiar with. One is lead. You know, this is the most important first sentence, supposed to be the first sentence, and once whatever your lead is, continue writing on this particular point, especially the lead. So never, if your lead is something and your story or your whatever you write is about something else, and that's a failure. Then when someone tells you that your story has been spiked, this means your story has been killed. It has not been liked, rather. Or if your article, your story, you are told, take it to the copy desk. Copy desk, that means it requires proofreading, it requires correction of spelling and so on. So where it is edited, then that place is called the copy desk. As a reporter, you are not supposed to fabricate. So that means whatever story that you are presenting must be something which you know about and which is your own. Then your story must not show any bias. Bias is the same thing, I mentioned this before, must not show that you have taken a particular side. Then the most important thing again is that your story or your report is your own and it has not been plagiarized, taken from some other source. So whenever you do take some help or some notes from somewhere, you must mention it, you must cite it. About citation, it is important that you follow the one which is nowadays mostly used, the main citations for any writing, academic writing, or APA, uppercase APA, which is American Psychological Association. So APA model is what used mostly for anything for a scientific paper or mostly for scientific or technical papers. For a journalist, whatever he will write, he will use the MLAs, MLA, uppercase MLA, that is Modern Language Association. Here in Modern Language Association is the style or whatever is used is mostly for articles on history, mostly humanities or anything to do with the reports. These are the citation that you use is MLA. Also, there's another one which is Harvard. Harvard you can use for both type of writing. So if you go to Google, you'll get additional information about these citations and the various points which you are supposed to know, to use before you send your publication to be published. And last but not the least, I'll relate to you an incident which will give you a complete, let us say, a very humorous distinction between the words complete and finished. Basically, complete, the work has been completed or the work is finished. Basically, you understand that it means the same thing. But here is an incident which really took place, and it was, I think it was a test rather, that if anyone could give the best explanation about the difference between complete and finished, he would get a major award. And this competition was actually won by a West Indian, someone from West Indies, and he was taken to meet the Queen Elizabeth, and he was feted and he received a large sum of money for his description of complete and finish. According to him, let us suppose one person, his name is Mr. A, he marries a woman who is very, let us say, who is his ideal, and he feels that she will never betray him, and he will always remain happy with her. Then you say that Mr. A is complete. Mr. B, on the other hand, gets married to a woman who's a woman, let us say, woman of loose morals, and he cannot trust her, and later on he finds that she always moves around, she was always cheating on him, and then Mr. A, of course, then feels that this man is finished. But it so happens that after some time, Mr. B finds Mr. A moving around and having a nice time with his wife. So when he really catches them, then it can be said that this Mr. A is now completely finished. Thank you.